but yeah, just no responsibility, taking no responsibility for myself and my food and my diet, and sort of blaming different people, different things, the sport for being boring over the COVID and everything being delayed, the injury, putting them and going, this is your fault.
Mr. Hendy, thanks for coming on to the show.
Corey, thanks for having me, mate.
Oh, good, bro. So we were just talking beforehand about this key theory in terms of how people are mirror reflections of yourself. I'd love for you to kick off by just diving straight into it.
We're going straight to the deep end.
We'll go straight
if you
into
can't swim, don't listen. No, it's a cool little one of different relationships, whether it's family, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. Unlocking the door to your feelings. So, say someone walks into your life and they, in a way, hold a key towards a feeling that you already have inside of yourself. And that feeling is unlocked. That door is unlocked by them. And that's why you ultimately fall in love with them or feel fond of them or feel like you want to spend more time around them. It's because of that feeling that you already had, but you haven't been able to unlock, is sort of that's why you get so drawn back to them and stuff. So it's a cool little theory. They also can take that key away from you at any point. So we're talking about why that's such a cool little thing to look at is ultimately we want to be able to unlock all our doors ourselves to feeling the way we want to feel and ultimately feeling a certain way rather than feeling like crap or, down or depressed or whatever. And yeah, that's why, relationships can be healthy, but can be very unhealthy as well when you're reliant on them and, you're not in that state where you realize that you're there sort of, it's all like, it's pretty magical what a relationship is in any means of the word. So, I guess that's what we're talking on.
Yeah. And like how, if you give them the keys, you'd be like too attached.
Yeah.
And you want to have all the keys and like essentially unlock them yourself and not rely on them.
Yeah.
But then they do also help you feel those things. But then also, as you were talking about, like being an athlete, if someone beats you in a race or like starts taking in front of you at some place,
yeah,
or like in a race or something really competitive, it's like they also unlock the keys to the demons.
Yeah, you can unlock the keys to the dark doors as well and go down a dark pathway for sure. So ultimately you want to be able to, hold the keys to all the doors so you can lock which ones you want to lock and unlock the ones that you want to open up and see and have the view shown and all that sort of stuff. So whether it's someone passing away or moving away or breaking up with you, you're obviously left with a void, and usually it's just a feeling that you have inside of yourself that you don't know how to unlock anymore.
Dude, it's so insane.
I've never started a podcast like this, that's for sure.
I like it. We get straight into it.
Yeah.
What are some of the demons, because I'm just like curious as well, because we've sort of had conversations about this before. It's like, what are some of the demons that you face like as an athlete when you are competing? Because I like understanding these and getting clear on these as well, because they can apply to anyone if they're trying to perform their best at something. But because you're consistently under like large amounts of stress and pressure and underperformance, targets that you've got to hit. Yeah, I'd just like to know sort of where your mind goes sometimes.
Yeah, the demons and the dark thoughts and whatever you want to call it can sort of manifest in a lot of different ways, and they usually come back to one core demon. It can manifest in, I'm tired, I'm running out of steam, I need some rest, I need to have a sleep this morning, or I deserve this bit of food, or I deserve this bit of ice cream, all that sort of stuff. But ultimately for myself, I feel like it always comes back to I'm not good enough. And that's the demon, and it's like all these other things that you can search through and stuff, it comes back to I'm not good enough, and then so I'm not good enough to get out of bed this morning. I'm not good enough to get through a swim session this morning. I'm not good enough to look after my daughter this morning. I'm not good enough to be nice to people this morning. I'm not good enough to make money this morning. And then so I feel like we're on pretty much a journey to find out if we're good enough or not.
How are you going with that at the moment?
I'm on the way. Yeah, no, I definitely, you've met me at a pretty cool time where I'm pretty abundant with energy and reflection, and I'm sort of always looking at myself for responsibility. So I've had a couple of years where I've come out of an injured year, which I fully went into not good enough. Like I wanted to be normal. Just wanted to, like, I was injured and I just wanted to be normal. I just didn't want to have that early morning routine and all this sort of stuff. And the injury was probably a bit of recognition for that. It was like,
what was the injury?
It was back stress in my ribs and stuff. And that injury still pops up every now and then when I'm starting to get run down and starting to feel not good enough.
Just a reminder.
Yeah, it's a reminder, and it's actually a good reminder because it actually tells me to, you know, stop working out and start working in a little bit for a little bit. You know, change it up. As an athlete, we go out every day and we try to strive to be better physically and mentally and all that sort of stuff. But not often do you, or are you taught to look inward. And one of my mentors, Taylor Cecil, sort of talks about working in rather than working out. And as soon as I stop doing that, this back injury pops back up and the not good enough thing starts popping in. And
where did it come from?
It just came from the need to express that feeling of not being good enough, I think.
Where did the feeling of not being good enough come from? Do you know?
Oh, I think the way I would say is it's almost like ingrained in us through different ways of our schooling system, our belief systems. But, you know, it's not just how we were taught; it's how our parents were taught, or our teachers were taught, or our coaches were taught before us. So, you know, I think the not good enough thing is our biggest teacher. It's sort of how people have been using themselves as they use it for fuel to get to where they want to get to. Ultimately, I don't think it's real within any of us. I don't think it's it's actually any of our beliefs. It's just something that we've picked up along the way. And if it is real, like, oh well, you know, like, but the pursuit of excellence is pretty exciting out of that not good enough thing. But I think we're just here to tap into how powerful we really are.
It's pretty crazy. It's sort of like if you can just get rid of all of that, all of the thoughts, you know,
Yeah.
sort of all the things that you want to do. Like, oh, I know there's going to be challenges. I know there's going to be the next step. I know this thing's going to be scary or make me feel nervous or it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But in terms of our own heads and our own thoughts, if we just remove all of those,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you'll
even
hit your full potential.
we've talked about this before, a week or so ago when we were having an ice bath, of the actual just being able to observe your thoughts, and then you can redirect them a little bit and change them and realize before thoughts turn into beliefs, and beliefs turn into, you know, what physically what we are and how we see the world. So, like, if you can catch your thoughts and then turn them into what you want to turn them into, or you can completely go, nah, that's just a thought, you know, and change it before it even comes in. So I feel like I'm just trying to become the observer to my own thoughts and my own belief systems and my own fears and my own, you know, demons and different things that I have, and just send love to them.
Send love to the damn thoughts.
Yeah.
What's that like at the moment? Like, you looking at your thoughts?
Oh, it's another layer of responsibility.
There wasn't enough here.
Yeah. So, obviously, responsibility is your ability to respond. And
Ooh, wait, what do you mean by that? Just quickly.
it's your ability to respond to only you can respond to things in your own life. So for me, it's my ability to respond to how someone else treats me, or how I feel, or this, all that sort of stuff. It's just the next layer of, you know, responsibility for your own demons, you know, responsibility for your own thoughts, like the next level of things. Like, have you ever heard the saying, like, don't put any blame on someone else, you're giving your power away, you know, just like you're giving your power to someone else. As soon as you start to blame someone else for why you aren't successful, then ultimately you've just handed them that power, and you've said, you're the reason I'm not successful. And you've given no power to yourself, because you ultimately couldn't have done it without them or with them, apparently.
You know what? I think I've been reading a lot of fantasy recently.
Yeah.
And like, I've been finding it fascinating. I don't know why I have a calling to it, but like my soul has like just read some fantasy, because I read a lot of Hero's Journey,
Yeah.
read a lot of myth, read a lot of all this
Yeah.
psychology stuff, which I love talking to you about. So we
Yeah.
always get just into the deep chats. And one thing that they talk about in there is like magic systems
Yeah.
and how people use different magics and putting curses on people and all these like different things, which I find like fascinating. If you think about Harry Potter, it's like wild fantasy.
Yeah.
But I think like magic is real, but it all comes into the form of just things we say.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like if you,
Well,
like you said-
magicians and witches and all these things that you know they're saying spells apparently, or they're doing the spells with their wand.
yeah.
I like to think of it. We're doing spells with our pencil, and it's actually called spelling. You're writing down you're writing down your future.
Yeah.
Every time you spell, you're writing down something, and you're almost bringing that into existence.
Yeah. They
And-
said there's like, when I remember at school, I remember
It's called spelling for a reason.
it's called spelling for a goddamn reason, guys.
It's a wooden stick. It just has a little bit of lead in
Yeah,
it.
you just know that they're trying to they're just trying to brainwash us. When we were in school, we had to write lines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Got to
Yeah.
speak that into existence.
I will not speak back to the teacher anymore.
I will throw rubbish.
I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good
I'm
enough.
not good enough. God damn it.
Yeah.
But that's someone saying it. It makes so much sense. Like if you speak something and like, oh, that's your fault, and it's like out loud and you've heard it and someone else has heard it and they've
Yeah.
taken away your power. It's like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to like bring that back in somehow, or do something for yourself where you're doing the inner work to summon energy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I've been doing this weird thing, and I this might be wrong, but I'm trying to now not write down anything negative. I only say the negative things. Like if I'm talking to you, and you're like, "How you going?" and I'm like, "Oh, mate, I'm not feeling good enough." I'm not, like deep down at the core, how I'm feeling. I don't want to write that down because I don't want it to keep existing anymore. Mm-hmm. So I write down my intentions, my gratitude, all the things that, like the good stuff.
Every day?
Looking towards the light, yeah.
Every day, do
Yeah.
like a journal practice.
Yeah. Writing down the stuff, looking towards the light rather than the dark. And then that is my little, spelling my future. And using the wand to sort of direct where I want to go. But obviously you still got to be able to vent some of that negative stuff and some of the things you're feeling and stuff. But I just don't like to put it in a book. I'd like to say it out loud, see the energy that comes up with it and let it go.
Yeah, that's really true. I sort of love the dark side of things.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, every time there's some sort of negative energy or some darkness, it's just like, there's just some like hardcore growth there.
Yeah.
And I always forget, like my mind catches me up and I'm in the state of like feeling something bad or thinking something bad or being impatient.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God damn. And then it isn't until like, a couple of weeks later or months later, you overcome it. You look back and you're like, oh, I was possessed for a little bit there.
Yeah. Well, until you shine the light on those dark places that haven't seen light in a while, you don't realize that in that dark ball of energy is that golden nugget right in the middle of it, of something new for you to learn and for you to take you forward to the next step. Mm-hmm. So you put the torch on it, shine the light on it, and then all of a sudden you learn, you grow, and that darkness dissipates and just the golden nuggets left and you go forward.
Man, I love how you're like one of the most elite athletes in the world. Like,
Haven't been for a couple of years, but I'm getting back there.
It's still, you're performing in one of the most elite athletes in the world. Like that one, it must feel just like, really good to actually take that in sometimes. Have you had a chance to like take that in?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, how beautiful. I love
In the top 1% of people in the world in physical, that physical way. And for a couple of years, I was just in the top 2% instead.
And then you go to the top one.
back to I'm back wanting to be top 1% and maybe even top 0.1%.
I love it so much. It's so exciting. But one of the things that I love, that you do, and like aware that when you do get to that level of performance, is you take all of the personal development in stuff so seriously.
Yeah.
And like, so much. Like every time I talk to you, I learn something new. And I love like some of the stories that you've got around like you overcoming your thoughts. And I love how you apply them first in your day, in your life and everything that you're doing. But then when you're like in competition or you're competing against the surf guys, going from Chugan to Coolangatta and all those things. I love it, man.
Yeah, no, it's good. And ultimately it's a pursuit of working out who we are and why we're here.
Yeah. But consistently.
Yeah.
Like always, like it's never ending.
Yeah. 3 times a day minimum usually.
I'd love for you to tell that story. You told me when, you just completely like got into a flow when you were rowing.
Yeah.
And like you just like got aware of your thoughts and just like switch them around to be so positive.
Yeah.
And you just like
So we don't call it rowing, we call it paddling. But
paddling. My bad.
No, it's all good, mate. A couple of weeks ago, I've sort of been working on my own self and my responsibility and what I can control and all that sort of stuff, and noticing the limiting beliefs that I have on myself, and that they've come from past experiences, thoughts, all the different things that you may have placed on yourself, or other people can place on you at sometimes too, which ultimately is up to you if you take it on board or not as well. So responsible for all of it. And I was just in this really good space, and I was like sort of being real creative with my energy, and we're doing a little run through of a Coolangatta Gold, which is quite daunting to people. It's like a lot of distance and Ks, and in that race, we used to go from Coolangatta to pretty much surface and back, all the way back to Coolangatta.
How many Ks is that total?
It's like 40, between 42 and 46.
So you're paddling like a marathon.
So we paddle 23 of that.
In surf.
Yeah, paddle 23, and then we run 2K, then we swim 3.5, 4K, board paddle 6K, and then run 8K. Yeah. So it's a lot of consuming sort of data to analyze when you're paddling for that long, because you've got all this data in your mind of all these different beliefs that you've already ingrained in yourself and think are real, and you think, at this certain point in time, this left arm is going to feel this certain way, or I'm going to start getting tired at this point, or my body's going to start falling apart at this point, And I was just observant of all the thoughts that were coming up to me, and I was paddling along, and every now and then a thought would come in, and it's like, oh, your arms are starting to get tired. And I'd just be like, oh, that's a thought. And, I just go, that's a thought. And then boom, my arms would be just fresh as a daisy again. And then the next minute they would be, this wind, it's going to be challenging in this wind. And then I'll go, that's a thought. And then all of a sudden I was catching the bit of wind that's hitting the water, and then it would just be picking me up. And it was like, I was just like perfect, like right in the flow of it, and in flow state. But what was really cool about it was I maintained that state for 3.5 hours, and that was a record time for me. But even just the way I entered into it, it was just a really light, fun state, and everyone's getting nervous about this big training session, and I was just joking around going, I've never felt this good in my life, just like recreating your thoughts and beliefs, and I've never felt this good in my life. Geez, it's going to be a good day out there, isn't it? And I'm like just playing around with I think I said it out loud a fair few times, and I'm not sure how the other boys felt around me, but I'm just playing around with my own thoughts, emotions, and feelings, mate.
That's so insane. And then you just like blitzed it, hey?
Yeah, no, I had a really good session. I enjoyed it the whole time, and we weren't at race pace that day, so it's you can't really gauge anything. But I just know I had a really enjoyable time and felt good.
Oh man, that's insane. And when did your sort of like personal development journey start, and what were some of the like key moments for you when you've just been like sort of figured some new things out and learning new skills and new techniques, and I'm sure starting a family also comes in there as well.
Yeah, the personal development stage, I don't think it's always been in the background without me realizing. My dad's pretty into personal growth and personal development and that next level of looking into things. And he's always said things to me, and they've sort of just passed with the wind. I don't know what they meant.
Different examples.
He's sort of, you've gone into your stuff, and your stuff being your own thoughts and beliefs and anger and resentment and all this stuff, and it's or that's just taking you out, and taking me out means taking me out of my own space and my own freedom and good feeling and good emotion, and it's taken you into a place of thought where you go, probably I'm not feeling good enough, or something or someone can take you out if you aren't holding the responsibility within yourself. But yeah, it definitely ramped up in the last year with having a kid. Yeah. So Adeline, my daughter, and Harriet, my partner, obviously my life asks a lot more of me now, and I've had to sort of find out a bit more about myself. So it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I've had 2 years of racing not going my way. 1 year with injury, as I said, and another year where I got back to, I feel like, about 90%. And I started racing while I wasn't outside of the top 5 or 6 for the first 4 or 5 races of the year. And then I caught the COVID-19, the Rus, and I sort of just didn't give myself a chance to recover and try to train through just after it, train through it and stuff. And it almost sort of hit me for 6 and then ruined my whole back end of the summer, which happened for a reason as well. It actually taught me a lot about myself. So I'm grateful for it. But now there's part of my ego and stuff that is like, I haven't been a good Ironman for a couple of years. I'm not good enough, da-da-da-da-da. So I'm just working through that and trying to come back this year flying and at my best and healthiest and taking more responsibility than ever.
And like, what did that look like inside your mind when you were going through all the hard stuff?
Victim. Yeah, just full victim. Blame everyone else. Blame COVID. Blame, different things. But yeah, just no responsibility. Taking no responsibility for myself and my food and my diet, and sort of blaming different people, different things, the sport for being boring over the COVID and everything being delayed, the injury, all the different things, and just putting them and going, this is your fault. Like, it's to all those things, and not once like look at yourself and go, man, you're just a bit run down, you're tired, your passion's not quite there with the sport because you just need to have a little rest. So I almost probably, when I was injured, my intuition was when I was first injured, I was probably should have taken like 6 months off, and I took 6 weeks off, So I didn't listen to my intuition then, and then ultimately I didn't learn the lessons in that moment that I learnt 18 months later.
And do you think that made you like a more spiritual person?
Yeah. So I think divine timing and, probably the trust in different people call different things. I call it the universe, trust in the universe, of the timing being, right on, bang on when it needed to be. So my daughter came into my life at the perfect time, and she's every day teaching me new things, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, because obviously I'm assuming there's a lot more balance and stuff that you're going to have to prioritize.
Yeah. So instead of balancing, 10 kilos on each side, it's like now 1,000 kilos on each side, and one has 1,050 kilos and the other one's 1,000. So it's not quite, like you sort of just rock it, yeah. Got one side stronger than the other.
Yeah.
But you learn and you adapt, and yeah, now I'm just walking around like a crab.
Neat. Yeah. I love as well how you talk about, and I've been using this a lot recently. Oh, I've just hit my camera.
Is that me?
That might have been one of us. Hang on. There we go. Just get that on the table there. Woo! One thing that I really like that you talk about, I've been using a lot. Yeah. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, I can't wait to use this.
Yeah.
And you talked about, how everyone's on this path, for spirituality, in terms of everyone's trying to chase the high version of themselves, or they're trying to, become like the best version of themselves, or God, universe, whatever it is. But you're like, it's not an ascension process. It's a descension process.
Yeah.
Where like your higher self is around you, like sort of like a bubble, like an aura, and you're trying to like bring it like back into yourself.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk like your experience of that to make sense of it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we've got this funny thing going on the planet where, I don't know, I know a lot of spiritual people that are quite spiritual and holistic or whatever, and they look at all these things and they're like, oh, I can't wait. Like they think they're going to ascend, and like all of a sudden the world's just going to change, and like, all these things going to happen, and everything, they don't have debt and they don't have this and they don't have struggles, and all these things could just happen. And, my belief is, we're actually here to actually learn how to bring our higher self and our best self into our physical form. And I feel like our physical form is a manifestation of our thoughts, beliefs, spirit, obviously our training, all the different things. And it's trying to bring that all down and much more, like more than we probably know of just at this moment. And I feel like we're not a human having a spiritual experience. We're a spiritual being having a human experience. And we've got to probably give that a little bit more attention than we usually do.
How would you do that?
Start looking in. Yeah, start looking at yourself and taking responsibility for your physical stuff. And then once your physical stuff's taken care of, then your mental stuff. And then once that's taken care of, then your emotional stuff. And then once your emotional stuff's taken care of, start taking care of your spirit. And then from there, I don't know what's next. That's as far as I've got it, mate.
No, I really like that, man. And you're like aware of a lot of things too. Like you're another person who I think is like just have this crazy sort of self-awareness of like all your environment and like all the things around you in terms of like people and like being actually in touch with your intuitions. Like how do you sort of get to that?
Yeah, so that's another balancing act, because you want to be aware and sort of in touch with what's going on around you, but not in a judgmental way or a blaming way where you're like, oh, you're being judgmental of me, and ultimately you're being judgmental of them for being judgmental of you, and it never ends. So being the observer of that stuff and being able to just observe what's going on around you and what your thoughts are turning into. Like how you would have done this a fair bit, where you write something down and it literally turns into a reality. Yeah.
Sometimes not even right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just think it.
Yeah.
Like not even speak it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy, that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And so our thoughts, and the negative stuff can happen too. We can manifest in the opposite way as well. So just being the observer of that and being able to take the responsibility of what you're creating in your surroundings. And our good man, Deej, our good friend, I always say to him, he goes, let's go change the world. And I said, change yourself and the world will change around you, So I believe in that. I've watched my world change and the world around me change as soon as I start taking care and responsibility for myself. So I'm still on the journey of it, and I don't always practice what I preach, but I'm trying to be better at it. And I just feel like I constantly look at, responsibility. And when I'm not willing to take responsibility, I usually go into a little detox or sickness or something like that. It's my body's way of saying like you're sort of trying to suppress this at the moment. You're trying to, not go to that next level. So, just become the observer of everything. Yeah. Without judgment or blame.
Yeah, it's so hard. And like doing it without judgment's like, oh my God, it's so hard. And on the path of trying to be integral, I find is also so hard, because you find all these moments and things where you come up and you've set intentions. Like I set so many intentions, oh my God. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, I've got so much business admin stuff that I said I was going to do Monday, but I didn't do it. And now because I didn't do it and I prioritized something over that, now I'm goddamn stressed out.
But you're on the path.
But you're on the path.
That's the cool thing is like you've set all these intentions, but if you didn't write down those intentions, you may not have achieved any of them. If you didn't write down any of them, you might have gone backwards, So those intentions, at least you've got, if you wrote down 6 and you achieved 1, that's better than achieving 0. So I feel like that's the part of walking the journey is like, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't forget that we're just having an experience as a human right now, and that sometimes we forget about that and be a bit too hard on ourselves and try to make everything happen so quickly and so promptly that it you feel like you come back to, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough yet. It says
I will be.
I'm not integral enough. And that's another form of I'm not good enough, on an integral level. So,
dude, I feel when you said I'm not good enough, I feel that.
Yeah,
that's like. For me, I just felt my ego just go, hey there, buddy. Because that's what keeps me like, keep pushing instead of like, really enjoying the moment or like worrying about something, whether it's finances, whether it's relationships, whether it's serving people, whether it's learning, whether it's writing, whether it's creating. And it's like, well, I can get all these things and
Yeah.
I will get them all. But because I haven't got them yet,
Yeah.
I need to be,
Yeah.
locked in trying to get them. And it's like, oh,
Do you find like with the manifestation thing, sometimes I see it's like as soon as I come from a place of where I'm not grateful already for what I've got, or I'm not clear in where I am right now and understanding of that, and I try to just create more because I don't want to feel a certain way, then it doesn't manifest. But if you come from a place where you're like already grateful for what you got, but you're like, you know what, I just want to experience this, it would be a bit of fun, then all of a sudden, boom, happens.
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Big time. It's sort of like, for me, like my terminology, how I would use it is like, I love using the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover analogy. And
Yeah.
I've mentioned it, but I haven't like dived deep into it.
Yeah.
But there's one part out of like, there are 4 different personalities essentially that like every masculine part of ourself has. And the magician, for example, is a part of yourself that is it's the only introverted one out of the 4.
Yeah.
And it's the part of yourself where you like plan, organize, strategize, and figure things out. And with that, actually prioritizing that time to get really clear and like using that part of yourself to sit down, write, think, invest in a coach,
Yeah.
do the meditations, spend time actually creating nothing else that's outside. And I'm having a bit of a moment now because I'm like, I need to do this. Nothing like outside
Yeah.
that's going to have an external response, but it's just all creating internal. I spend that time. What do you want? What do you most want to do? What's happening? Analyzing and figuring out, getting really locked into your truest desires and being honest with those.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, oh, this is what I really want. It's like, is it though?
Yeah.
And like you have the part of your brain that's like, oh no, that's just a thought. But sometimes it's like, oh no, this is what I truly want.
Yeah.
And then when you can get clear on that, then you get clear of everything around you. You're like, oh,
Yes.
that's what I'd like to. That's what I'd like to feel or experience. And then it happens. Like I remember, just in terms of that, it was last year sometime, and I was thinking, I was like, obviously I do a lot of studying the hero's journeys. Joseph Campbell, the man.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, there was like part of my next like step in my journey is I need to get in a relationship. Like I'm so ready for one. It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I started just spending. I was like, I just need to spend, because I'm trying to build a business stuff at the moment. I was like, a couple of years ago, I was like, I just need to spend like 10 minutes a day just putting energy into getting a partner. That's all I've got at the moment.
Yeah.
Took about a year.
Yeah.
And I found like the most perfect one ever.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? But I set that intention. It wasn't like I was like actively trying every day. Like, oh, I was like, no, just see how it goes.
Yeah.
And because it was there and because I wrote everything down and knew that's what I wanted,
Yeah.
eventually come up and I was like, awesome. Now,
Yeah.
now the real journey begins.
Yeah.
When you get into
But
it.
you guys are on fire. So, like it's the timing of that couldn't have been better. Hey.
Yeah, couldn't have. And that's like exactly your point in terms of, when you're coming out of a spot with actually manifesting,
Yeah.
in terms of looking at it as a almost like a science, is it was like right there, you're at a spot which was perfect and made the decision.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. And it's so cool just to know like how much power we have in that. It's just like, but like,
We always forget to clear the slate though.
yeah, it's, and I don't know, like it's like intangible. You can't actually like put it to words how it happens, like, and why it happens. And I can't yet anyway, I can't put it to words, but it's something like I've written down a couple of times, like I need $30,000 by 2 weeks from now. And I'm like, literally, okay. And I'm like, far out, where's $30,000 coming from? Like, I'm like, I earn 60, 70 grand a year. This is a couple of years ago. And I'm like, how is this going to happen? Then boom, like something just manifests itself. And I'm like, what? How did that just happen? Or like 2 different things, 2 different new sponsors or just like that was at the very start, actually. I wrote down, I want to win a professional race and I need $30,000 in 2 weeks. And my first professional race was like just under 2 weeks away. So I was like, all right, here we go. Like I need this money. I've got to pay this and this. I was worried, stressed, and just took a bit of like responsibility for that. And I went, I'm going to have to work something out here. And then I I went out and I won that race. And in that, I got prize money. Someone doubled that prize money because they matched it, and I got a new sponsor, and it equaled 30 grand on the dot. Like on the dot, and I got it 13 days after I wrote it down, and I needed it on the 14th day.
Write down your intentions, guys.
Crazy.
Do you think, like, just a thought popped up, and do you think that your spirit knew that you're going to get that $30, so it made you write it down, like, before you went out to go get it?
I think ultimately we always know, but like we already know when things are going to happen. Like every race I've raced good, I knew I was going to race good that day. Like it's just the way it works, and I know when I'm going to race bad. But now I'm trying to be the observer of my thoughts and change it when I think it's going to be a bad day, because I'm getting stuck in anxiety or trying to, or the not good enough energy, and being an observer of that and being able to change it and sort of not be stuck in that timeline of what you were stuck in.
Oh, so true. And what do you think, like for you, what do you think is like the difference between you when you 2017 won that hectic race?
Yep.
What is like the difference, do you think, between like your mindset then and then like now? I'd love to hear this, like the story of what sort of happened with you within that race, and then I'd love to hear like what's the difference between then and like now in your own mind.
Yeah. So I think, like obviously I wrote down like I needed money, but I wasn't even trying to manifest anything. It was like I just wrote down like I need money because I was stressed. And I think I was doing like a little budget for like my next little bit, and I was like, oh, I'm running out of money. I need this, this and this. But the one thing I did write down was my goal was to win that race. So like I wasn't coming at it from a manifestation standpoint. Like I was coming at it from just like a physical person, just writing something down. But I believe I won that race physically, like only physically. Like I'd just done the work physically. Like I'd done the training, I'd looked after my diet, and that was enough for me to win in that moment. And I think what I've walked through and the journey I've walked through, and you love the hero's journey, is I've walked through the dark, deep forest with all the demons and all the different things going on, and ultimately not feeling good enough. And it's been a mental and spiritual and emotional journey. And so now I've come back to the sport this year, and I feel like I came back last year, and it was yesterday. Last year, and it was feels like yesterday, but it was like a bit of a mental thing, like coming back from injury and this and that. This year I feel like it's like a physical, emotional, mental and spiritual journey all at once. Like everything is happening. Like to be my best self on race day, I can't just be the best physical being. I can't just be the best mental. I've got to have all of them there colliding together at one point.
Well, it makes sense as why you got injured if it was all physical.
Yeah.
You knew it was physical, and then like after the race getting like injured. It makes so much sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had to work out that there was more to it.
What did it feel like for you as well?
To win?
When you won.
Just like a weight off the shoulders. Just like a probably like that aura that you might hold around yourself that sometimes feels like it's just literally as thick as your skin. Sometimes it feels like it's out to here. Just felt like it was beaming about 1 kilometre each side of me.
Sounds like a taste of potential, really.
And a fair bit of ego at that point too.
Yeah. And what do you mean by that?
Oh, I just thought my shit didn't stink, and like that everyone loved me and all that sort of stuff. But that ultimately I won that day, and there was 19 people that didn't win. So not everyone can love you. So you sort of forget, and you forget about all the different things that people are experiencing in that same moment in time. Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what it's sort of like to win, because when I won like my pro card in WBFF, obviously not like a world stage, but it's still pretty insane when you have that moment of, being truly tested at like your core and your full potential and moving forward with it. However, that comp for me when I first come in was definitely a spiritual one as well. Like there was a lot of like, I was doing so many meditations at the time and getting like really in touch with spirit and stuff. And I felt like the day beforehand that I already won it before coming in, and already felt all the emotions.
Yeah.
So it was like when I won it, it it was insane and it was ecstatic, but like I knew it was coming.
You
It was real
the
weird.
calmness was already there. Like the you already felt like the winner.
Yeah.
That's what was talking about earlier. Is like all the times I've had good days of racing, I already felt like I'd had a good day. Like the day was good when I woke up. You know, like I woke up and I felt energized. I felt like myself. I felt like, you know, I knew everything was going to be okay.
Man, what do you think? What would you say to the people who haven't put themselves in an opportunity to be tested like that in terms of competing or whatever it is? For people who haven't, you know, gone out there, they've just been working or trying to build a business or something like that, and you know they're not doing something that's so it's extravagant, right?
Yeah.
When you're competing on something that's like fully testing you, it's like
Yeah.
really extravagant. Like, what would you say to people that haven't had that experience?
Well, what I'd say is if you don't have to have it from sport, you can have it from, creating a $1 million business or whatever, or creating a business that's ends up being the number one rated at what it does or something along those lines. But I don't feel like you're going to necessarily get it in your life unless you're the one with the pressure and the stress on your shoulders. You know, like you can't be like the third person down making phone calls for Vodafone and have that experience. I don't believe, you know, if they do, well done. That's a really good job. But I'd say go find a way to have that experience and go find a way to feel how powerful you are. Go find a place that you feel like you could be good, but you're not 100% sure, and just chase it.
Because I find like so many people get stuck, because obviously I work in like group coaching and I coach a lot of guys, and I feel like there's one thing that's like a little bit different between, you know, people who are really finding out about themselves and pushing things to the limits and in all other areas and finding trust within themselves. Like, because you've had the experience of, you know, crushing a world stage, and because you've had the experience of, I need $30,000 like tomorrow. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Because you've had those things, it's like you can sort of trust yourself now, and you're experiencing like emotions that you know are sort of coming. It's like you know that there's this big emotion there, and you're working hard to feel it and to get there. And like some people just don't have it, and they're not putting themselves in positions to go out and do it.
Yeah, but if they're having that conversation with you or they're listening to this podcast, it means they're ready to have a crack.
Ooh. If you're ever listening, they just had a little signal.
Yeah, that's your signal. If you're looking for a sign, you just bloody got it.
That's a manifestation.
Yeah.
Quick, write something down right now.
Yeah, find something and go chase it.
Yeah, but how do you think you find something that's like really important to you?
You don't have to find it; it's probably right in front of you. You probably just wanted to do it for your whole life. It's probably been something you think of twice a day, every day for your whole life. It's not like, otherwise it's not going to happen, is it? So like, it's, if you haven't thought about it, and like even with the Ironman stuff, like my dad was the best Ironman of all time before me, and before I started, I'm not saying I'm a good like that Ironman, but before I started Ironman, I was like trying to hide from that, but I'd still like visualize what it'd be like to win Ironman races without knowing I was doing it. Just like, oh, this would be cool, you know, all this stuff. And I'd walk down the beach, and someone would ask for my dad's autograph or something. And I'd be like, oh, what would it feel like for me to have that? So the answer was right in front of me, is that I wanted that, you know, I wanted that sort of sense of people coming and asking for autographs. And I haven't got it to the level that he got it to, but I've experienced it myself.
That's so insane, man.
Yeah.
Are you like real proud of that, just for you being able to do that and like know that's completely for you as well?
Yeah, for sure. And the cool thing is the journey's only just begun. I literally don't feel like I've even started racing yet. You know, like it's my win and my best podiums and all the different things I've done in the sport. I don't feel like I'm that person. Like I'm a different guy. You know, I feel like even last year who I was, it's like if I went and stood beside the guy that did all those things, and each year of me that's been in the professional Ironman series before, I'd look at him and be like, who are you? You know, like, well, come on, mate, step it up, you know? That's what I feel like anyway. That's the mindset I'm carrying right now.
Be aware of your thoughts, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the damn wind.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, so it's very exciting, and this is a different thing to go into, but I actually had a belief system pop up, belief pop up recently, and this is a cool one to talk about. And I think I might have mentioned it to you, but where I when I first won, I've only experienced winning, like being number one once, but I've come second and third and had some good races outside of that. But I made a little agreement with myself when I won that I didn't want to win anymore, because I didn't know at that time, but I didn't like that there were certain people that all of a sudden wanted what I had or didn't like me because of I won and they didn't. So I made an agreement with myself at that point that I wasn't going to win anymore. And then I think ultimately that led to my back being injured.
So you, like, unconsciously sabotaged yourself with one thought that you connected to.
Yeah, and I just didn't want to. I was so worried about people not liking me and not being loved and not being good enough for other people, you know, that I made that decision within myself that, second and third might be better because I'll experience a good day, but no one will hate me for it.
You think it's like a self-worth thing?
I think it's that old Coach Carter saying it's not our darkness that we're, what is it?
Afraid of.
That we're afraid of. It's our light that scares us, you know, like it's actually going towards that light and fully shining, and then the responsibility all of a sudden pops onto other people to then try to shine themselves, and sometimes they go the effect of that and ultimately get angry at you.
Man, you never think just like allowing yourself to shine could be so difficult sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Maybe I'm too aware.
No way. I think there's like a path to, like, you know, we talked about, there's some people that I talk to and I coach with, and I mentioned this and you'll be able to relate. And I'll tell them, I'm like, what you're about to learn in the programs and the coach with me, like, you can't unlearn it.
Yeah, no, like, once you know it, it's like...
Once you know, and I literally, it's a regular basis, people will coach with me and they say, do you think that I like won't learn this? Like, do you think that, you know, my life's different now and how I approach things are different? Do you think this is going to stay? And I'm like, of course it is. Of course it is. And they're like, oh man, sometimes I wish that I just didn't know. And I'm like, welcome to being unplugged from the matrix.
Yeah,
you know?
bloody hell.
And with that, I think the one way to get out once you start experiencing those things is to learn more.
Yeah,
it's sort of like you're digging a hole to get to the other side. It
doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Once you sort of know what you're aiming for and who you are, and you're sort of aware of your own crap, it's just the beginning. Like, literally.
It's funny you say that.
And you know, when we talk about unplugging from the matrix, I feel like that's not even the moment that you unplug. It's still a fair way away from that point. But you are now aware that you're in the matrix. You know, you're in, and people that aren't listening, that's the simulation theory, that we're in a bit of a simulation here, and there's a bit going on, and Elon Musk and plenty of other people that are far smarter than anyone that's listening to this podcast believe that we're more likely than not in a simulation. So it's got a bit of backing there. And yeah, once you can sort of break out of that, you can't go back in and just pretend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So insane. And it's funny with one of the things that you said beforehand. Hang on a minute, I just lost it. What did you say like 3 sentences ago? Before Elon Musk, can you remember?
You can't unknow. I don't know.
Something about you can't unknow. And it's always the start of the journey. When the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell talks about it. He's like, you know, as soon as the hero gets to the end and it's like happily ever after, you know, any story, Shrek, Harry Potter, whatever, happily ever after, end of Harry Potter 1, it's like the journey begins at happily ever after.
Yeah.
You know, sort of Harry Potter 1, then Harry Potter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's sort of like happening for us when people sort of do sort of take the, you know, self-awareness journey that like never ends. And I think that, I quite think that every time someone is stuck ever and they start going down, you know, the slippery slope of, as you mentioned, not feeling good enough, distracting themselves, leading to drugs or alcohol, they're trying to get fit or they're not actually realizing their full potential. They're like, oh, I'm comfortable with this level of finances, success in the relationship that I have. Whenever someone gets to any of those stages, it's like they've just put a pause on their own self-development and self-awareness.
Yeah.
And it's like another moment to just go back in and keep going, and it's
Yeah.
like hard to keep going to keep consistently learn about yourself because
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want to.
Oh, it's because this is the responsibility thing. It's your responsibility, and it's not that responsibility grows and grows and grows and gets bigger and bigger. Over time, it only gets bigger, and more things come on your plate, and all of a sudden you're taking responsibility for more than you were the day before, and the next day you'll take responsibility for more, and that's the coolest part about it. And I just want to quickly say, like, with that, the whole simulation thing, and people will say, "What? So Earth's not real. This experience isn't real." 100%, it's real. You know, this experience is 100% real. And if I went into what I actually believed about this simulation was, it probably wouldn't make sense to any of you. But I think that this world is real, this Earth is real, and God or the universe and all that sort of stuff is real at the same time too. But there's just a layer of simulation that people are stuck in, and it's more a way of thinking, or a sort of, it's what we've been sort of taught to know.
Yeah, it's like we've been installed from no fault of anyone else's, just a certain perception.
Yeah.
Like people in Bali think completely different to you. Like one of my
Yeah.
friends lives over there, and he's like, man, so hard to like eat on diet or something or the same thing continuously because you walk into the shops. They're like, hey, like, where are the bananas? They're like, I don't know. He's like, there you go, stock bananas.
They
And
didn't
they're
grow
like,
enough.
yeah. Well, they're just like, oh, we just forgot to order them.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you forget to order them? You know, I buy them every day. Like, oh, we don't care about making money. Like, we're just here to say hi and hang
Yeah.
out. Like, you're a business.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah.
completely different. Like,
Yeah.
they have like full different perceptions. So it's like, no matter whatever we're thinking is just a perception that we have. Like,
Yeah.
I had this perception around myself recently. I've been talking about it a lot, but I had a perception around myself. I'm like, well, my network around me is so good and so powerful that, you know, I've never really had to go and get coaching
Yeah.
for anything, or any like specials, like any sort of special coaching to figure out
Yeah.
like either personal development or business stuff. I've just like learned everything myself, which has been like fantastic in the meantime. But now I'm at this stage right now where it's like, well, there's a lot of things where you don't have the time to do those things. So you have to pay for these things and you have to go get accountable.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I had this opportunity come up to do this crazy like business coaching day with some absolute stud. It's going to cost me like a whole bunch of money for just like one day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that I like emotionally committed to that, like I'm going to do it. And I was like, man, my ego, my belief system around the whole time, I didn't even know it was there for like a year.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It wasn't until a couple people said like, you know, you get a coach. And then it wasn't until my partner, she got a coach, and like she just upgraded a couple of different levels. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, she's going like way quicker. Like that's sick. Like, you know, why don't I do that too?
Yeah.
I was like, what? It was just like this belief that I sort of had.
Yeah.
Same thing around, you know, when we talk about it just in terms of your whole daily life. All these perceptions or your routine or the current stuff, it's so easy to get stuck there, eh?
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's ultimately what we're trying to get out of. And just get like away from is the normalcy of like routine and just being half sort of mediocre, you know, like somewhere in the middle of your best and your worst, and some days you're worst and some days you're your best, you know, like try to just be aiming for your best every day.
How does all of this stuff and learning all these things show up like with you and your relationship?
Oh man, that's a good question. No, when I am taking enough responsibility and when I'm taking looking after myself and all that sort of stuff, it shows up amazing. Like our relationship's awesome. But then as soon as I don't take responsibility for myself and the person I want to be, then all of a sudden the dishes aren't done, this and that, and there starts to be like that little layer of resentment, you know, and that's only my fault, you know. So it's just, for me, I think a relationship is like the best way for you to know where you're at in your journey.
I'd love to hear a story about something like you and like your partner, like Harriet, have like done together or learnt together, or like a big powerful conversation or something that you've had that's like forced you guys to both like learn a new skill or something to like really come together.
Having a kid?
Yeah, obviously having a kid.
That's the hugest one. That sticks out so much. But like, just recently, she's gone back to work nursing, and she obviously wants to spend a lot of time with Adeline. And me being the dad and not having a boob and not having, you know, all the comforts that Adeline needs during the day, it was like a bit of a sort of sticking point of fear and different things that could happen and all that sort of stuff. And I think we're in this like little journey at the moment where we're just taking more responsibility and trying to step up and sort of still, with all that's going on, still be grateful. And I think that's probably the biggest step up in my nature lately, is like it's almost been walking into that like manly energy, that male energy, you know? So yeah, start strutting my stuff. But yeah, walking out with the chest out. Yeah,
Look at me, I'm a responsible male right now.
Start talking a little bit deeper. But yeah, I think like I'm right in the middle of it at the moment, you know, taking that more responsibility on all levels. And because I've made the decision and my intention is to take more responsibility, I'm just watching like little things that I used to like not do. And I was a terrible boyfriend at like cleaning and dishes and washing and feeding Adeline and stuff. I'm just watching them slowly, one by one, just get like incrementally better, you know, like each day. So yeah, I think people say, oh, I want to change this, oh, I'm going to clean the dishes, or I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to change, you know. Why don't you just set an intention that's high enough that means that a lot of things change around that, you know? So me setting an intention to be responsible for everything in my path means that all those things then come into that, you know, like being cleaner, being healthier, being all these different things. So then ultimately I'm a better partner.
Does it make you feel proud of yourself when you do it?
Yeah.
It's like a reward as well for being responsible.
Yeah,
right?
I slept really well last night because I felt good about myself. You know, like I went to bed and I feel like I've left the kitchen in a good state. I've eaten well today. I've trained. I listened to my body. I've pushed through a few fears. I found out a bit more about myself. I didn't put any blame onto anyone else. Geez, I can go to bed. You know, I can go to bed and have some good shut-eye.
Do you and Harriet ever have like really good sort of conscious conversations as well?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. So like we're pretty aware that in our relationship, she's the grounded one and I'm the, you know, I can get stuck in the ether a little bit like out here and sort of, you know, like in the imaginary world a little bit. And that is where hope and manifestation and all that sort of stuff lies, is, you know, like just outside of the physical. So I need to come down to her world sometimes, and then for her to create what she wants, she comes up to my world, and sort of sometimes we meet each other halfway, and that's the conversations that are around that. It's like, hey babe, come meet me halfway, and she's like, yeah, sweet, I'll see you there, you know.
What does that look like?
When we're starting to stress about money and different things like that, we'll have a conversation and she's like, all right, well, I want to do this, this and this. And I said, well, let's create it. And then she goes, well, I'm a nurse. I can't create any more than I earn. And I say, well, find a way to help me create more than, you know, like find a way to hold an energy and a vibration that means that the money's going to come to me, you know. And she's like, okay. And then it happens.
Have you got an example?
Oh, yeah, so we've obviously built a house recently. We needed to do the landscaping, and we've built our house just around the corner in Southport, and you know, we've sort of stretched ourselves to make it work. And the
greatest place in the world, Southport, by the way, guys. Just putting it out there. Fair Road Markets, Hoda Markets, what up?
Corey's a bloody local.
It's the only place I know in the Gold Coast really well. Everywhere else I'm lost. Yeah. But I like it.
They're all awesome, by the way. I'm a Gold Coast boy in and out, so I know all the places. Actually, if we go any further north, maybe not.
Like Southport back.
We'll block it. But Southport is definitely getting a lot nicer.
Yes,
so we built the house, we stretched ourselves like, you know, all these different things, and it just turned out that we ended up only having one car. We needed 2 cars, and so all this stuff, and it turned out we needed like 50 grand all up to sort of do the backyard, finish off the driveway, do a retaining wall, all this sort of stuff. And it's like, I can't earn any more money, And I'm like, yeah, that's true. You know, like your job is you're sort of going to earn this amount of money. And we sort of just decided together as a group, same thing, like how much money we needed. And I just said to her to align with me on how to do that, and
Did you meditate together? Like,
nah, I just told her to come meet me halfway and have some hope and belief that it would happen.
and so it's sort of like energetic support.
Yeah,
that
just
she's
a bit
giving
of just
you,
a
right?
belief, you know.
Yeah. I find I'm passionate about this. Like, as a dude, man, if you get a partner and you can communicate what you need, I think this is so powerful. I'm getting fucking worked up about this. This is so powerful. As a guy, if you can communicate your needs, that you need support as a partner, which is just trust, hope, and faith in you, and then she can demonstrate that in a behavior. Of course, you're going to crush absolutely anything.
Yeah.
Like, from your partner, if she believes you for whatever it is and encourages you and support you for whatever you want to achieve, instead of like any sort of holding back, you'll get it done. Like,
Yeah.
no matter what, like
No,
that trust in yourself.
100%.
Because I think as a guy, we need so much acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Especially like with schools and parents and stuff, as you mentioned, they're not feeling good enough. But your partner's just like, yeah, you're good enough.
Yeah.
Well, you are good enough. You got it. All good. Oh, every time I'm down, oh, no, you're good enough. You got it.
Yeah.
Fucking got it.
Yeah. Yes, so it is. It is exactly that, and that's ultimately is that key that we're talking about. She's just unlocked that key for you to open that door to feel good enough and feel this and that, and so that's the beauty about relationships. But yeah. So we had all these things. The retaining wall was going to cost 25 grand. The driveway was going to cost 6 grand. The backyard was going to cost 10 grand. All this stuff. I can't remember the exact price, and like, geez, this is never going to happen. And then, like, one by one, like, boom, sponsor came in, this happened, like, all this different things just come in. It was like my sponsors, like, almost met the requirements of each different bill. So I got like this 120 grand sponsor. And then I think the retaining wall went from being 25 grand to 18 grand because we got a better quote, so that $20,000 covered that.
Nice.
And then the driveway went from being 6 grand to 4 grand because one of my mates did it, and and then I had another sponsor covered that, you know, like, and then the backyard thing, it was like, oh, we'd got this much money left. I think we had another 5 grand came in, and I'm like, I just want to do that backyard, and someone came in and quoted it 16 grand, and I'm like, this can't cost $16,000. Surely I just worked in the mates, and I called up like 15, 16 of my mates, and I said, boys, we're doing a Saturday, you're coming around and you're getting on the tools, and we're going to lay some turf. And it cost me $4,960 to buy all the turf and the dirt and pay for the excavator to get the old shrub and in and out and stuff. It literally lined up to like the tee. I had like $40 left. $40 left to spend on the house, you know, like outside of my car bill and my this and that, and you know, all the different things. So just, yeah.
It's so crazy. It's definitely one way of that I've been sort of looking into recently, because I'm like creating like I'm doing one course on relationship communication, and another course that I'm doing after that is like business money mindset, which is why one of the first times like me and TJ like full connected was he come around our house. Diogo, our friend, was like, you should get TJ to come around. He's around the corner. We're doing whiteboards. Get him to come around. He come in and vibing out straight up. And we always went through his whiteboard of like business money mindset stuff. And I think it's pretty insane. Now, where did I want to get to? I was going to make a point out of all of this. And I forgot. Oh, no, that's what I was thinking about. And that is, there's like, because I've been looking into it, just sort of researching and listening and just paying heed and attention to all these things. And like one way of doing it in terms of like whatever you need, depending on who you are, your personality type, is I think like knowing who you are as a person is the best way that you should sort of sync how you make money.
Yeah.
Because who you are as a person, let's say for someone you don't like data analytics and things, it's like, well, you probably shouldn't get into e-com or crypto or stocks. Like that's probably something that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And for example, there's just this one person, I've been talking about a lot, Azria, that wrote the book, Becoming, her and her partner, I can't remember. But her way of doing it was just trust.
Yeah.
She's like, I just trust. I don't care. I'm in heaps of financial holes and all these different things, and I'm just trusting that it's going to come to me whenever I need it for however much it is. And like, that was it. She's like, and she'd invest in like these like crazy coaching containers and stuff or whatever it was. She's like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this. I'm sure it's going to come out somehow. I made some agreement. And then it would just happen. Yeah. She'd be like, I paid for it. I did it. Like, it's all good. I think you've done a bit of that.
Yeah.
Like just being like, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, a lot of trust at different moments. Yeah, for sure.
crazy how I think that's just like one real awesome tool that people, if
Yeah.
they're aware of it,
Yeah.
you know, and they can like believe in it, be like, yep, got it
Yeah.
somehow, some way.
It's like the money meets you on the sort of the vibration that you hold it sort of thing as well.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're willing to give it out and pay your bills on time and pay for food and not look at the food and go, oh, that's expensive. It's like that money then doesn't want to come to you. If you're starting to think, oh, expensive, I don't want to pay that bill. I want to just hold on to that money for a week longer and pay it later. Then all of a sudden no one wants to pay you. And it's like,
God damn.
it gets you so good. So now I don't even look, if someone literally one day recently, this is pretty funny because I like usually don't ever look at how much something costs. I went to this seafood shop and I ordered 2 bugs and some prawns, and I'm like, just like went up and I was like paying for it, and I just like heard him say $90, and I was like, I thought he said 19, and I was like, wow, $90, and I'm like, surely he didn't say that, and then I like went and I'm like, I looked at my card, like it pops up on my phone, how much I just paid, and it said $90, and I was like, that's my lunch just then cost me $90, and I just like I went, you know, oh well, this bug is actually pretty yummy, you know,
Yeah, really
like
good.
this seafood's really good. So it's sort of, yeah, pay your bills on time, be willing to give your money out, and not be so tight with your money. Don't go drive 20k to the cheapest fuel station. Don't do all that sort of stuff. Just let your money flow in and out, and be happy for it to come in and happy for it to go out.
My God, did I need to hear that today? I've been stretched financially recently because
Yeah.
like businesses are growing like really quickly.
Yeah.
And like things are going. And at the moment, I've had like that sort of same moment.
Yeah.
And instead of, it makes so much sense too. Like every time you hold on to your money, it's like, well, if you're holding on to something, it's how are you going to receive it?
Yeah.
You're not willing to let it go.
Yeah.
Put it where it needs to. And like recently, I've just had all these bills and all these things, and I've had the attitude,
Yeah.
in terms of all these different things that come out. I'm like, God damn.
Yeah. You got to hold
It's
it.
all,
Yeah.
this is all going right now, and I haven't held it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I haven't. I've been like, okay, I've got to pay it. I'm taking out of accounts that I shouldn't be taken out of, but you know, I'm going to trust that it's all going to come back, and I need to get these things out of the way first to clear up all of the shit, the stress, the energy anyway, because otherwise, if I don't pay for these things and I just leave them there, I'm going to be stressed out about them.
Yeah.
So like, let it go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel so good about it. Even though it's like a little bit stressing, I'm like, it's so much better than being like, oh shit, I have to pay for this.
Yeah.
Or like I to get to my goal, I actually need to pay for this.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, and then being like, nah.
Yeah.
So it's like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. No, it's all good, mate.
Because I feel so much better now.
Yeah. No, it's funny because like obviously I'm just saying things and then they're meeting your timeline. You
Dude,
know?
you, I don't know what it is with you, man, but every time you say something, it hits my timeline. I don't know what it is. Whenever I hang out with you, every single time that we have a chat, I'm like, thank God I talked to TJ. Someone was sending me something,
Yeah.
and I feel like a million times better. Like every time you say something.
Yeah. Someone told me to say it at this time.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah. No, I had to say it at this part of the session too.
Yeah, and right before we got onto the podcast as well, was I messaged you and I was talking to you. I was like, "There's something. I feel something that you're learning something really big at the moment. Was a big shift happen? What was it?"
Yeah, this one's fun. It's that religious people believe in this, and different people believe in this in a different way, but ultimately, like what I'm learning most recently is like there is nothing outside of yourself, and that means that we have to get out of these belief system that each one of us are different. You know, that we're all different, because we're not. We're all having experiences and unique experiences, but we're all just like spiritual beings having human experiences, but on a higher level, we probably all come from the same place, like the exact same consciousness. And whether that's God, some people call it source, some people call it maybe even the Big Bang. I don't know, you know, but we're all here to have an experience, and don't like resent other people for having their experience. Don't resent like the good or the bad or the right or the wrong, because some people are here to have a shitty experience, you know, and that they have chosen that already. And, you know, like that's what I'm learning is like ultimately we're all we're all one, and we're just here to have different experiences and have fun doing that.
So how do you show up and embody that?
That's the responsibility piece, is like literally taking care of yourself and everyone that like this conversation, the things that we're talking about and the different things is like, I'm learning from you some things that I deep down already know, you know, like, and when someone's pissed off at me and I take it on as my, like, oh, I'm not good enough. That's my feeling. I'm not good enough is my feeling. It's not, I'm not angry at them. I'm not angry. I'm actually angry that I don't feel good enough. You know, I'm not angry at someone for not paying me on time. I'm actually angry at myself that I didn't have the money to allow that person for not paying me on time. So I'm taking responsibility on all of these different levels. And then higher states, that's for my taking responsibility for my thoughts and all of the different things around me that I manifest and different things, and realizing that it's all a part of the experience.
Mic drop moment. Well, TJ Hendy, thanks so much for coming onto the show, man. Where can people find you?
Just probably Instagram's the easiest one. I'm not going to give out my number.
You guys call
or my address.
If anyone's floating around Southport somewhere, they're going to run into one of us.
I live within 3 minutes of Corey, so if you can find him, then you know I'm 3 minutes away by car.
Somewhere. Or keep an eye out on the media. Where can they, watch you? If you got comps and stuff coming up.
So
where can people follow you for that?
Definitely be able to watch me on 7. I have to have a good race for people to watch me on 9. In November, I have to qualify for the Nutrigrain series, but the Shaw and Partners Ironman series will be on 7 all summer. Otherwise, just come down to some of the races, get on the good old Google or your phone, or if you don't have Google, I don't know what.
Where are most of the Ironman races? Are they Bondi?
Some are no Bondi this year because council were tough, but like around that Sydney area, I think we're at Maroubra, and then we're at Maroubra twice, Gold Coast twice. I'm not sure. Northcliffe Surf Club down the road, and yeah, just around Sunshine Coast and stuff.
Hell yeah. And I like to leave all the listeners with one challenge, something they can do tangibly today, this week, next week, in the month, whatever it is. I like for you to challenge people to take an action on something.
Okay.
What is something that we've talked about today that you could challenge the listeners to do?
Every day for 30 days, wake up and write down 3 things you're grateful for. Watch your life change. And it'll be tangible too. You'll see it happen, and you watch all the things change around you, and you'll notice it.
And chuck in one sneaky intention in there. $30,000 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We're going to get it.
Aim high and get halfway, and you know you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, so true, man. Well, man, thanks so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Sweet.